Hi! So we're going to start this off. This should be a fun week. We're going to start off with testing out this process I'm going to have you guys go through. We're going to go over it on Monday, but I'm going to do it right here so y'all can look at this over. So the first thing I want you guys to do is go out on the internet and pick an animal. All right, so you just pick any animal you want. You want an animal that has some features. I know on Monday I'll do a lecture in the morning, and you probably know more about this. But you need kind of familiar features, something that y'all have fun with too. And you know you want to have variety because y'all are going to be trading these later in class. So you don't want everybody to do bears or everybody to do cows. No, you want something. So unusuality is good. Strange features. I mean, certainly like this, we're going to use this prairie dog, but something like the platypus would also be interesting. You know, because he's got some unusual features. We're only going to be drawing one side of him, so that's what you need to kind of look for. Look for something good to where you can see his features. He's very flat too. I like him as a little baby better than I like him as a adult, I think. But you know, something that you know when it comes down to low poly, I'm sure we've discussed this already too, that it might be good. It doesn't matter the actual scale of him in real life. You could also do something like a sea bear. Isn't this is sea bear? No. Yeah, the actual sea bear. So I mean, even these have some sort of. These are kind of cute. Has a kind of interesting look to it, right? We'd have to find a decent picture of one of these, but these are looking pretty good. I mean, one of these could essentially be good. Oh, poor polar bear there. I mean, that guy's pretty good. Water bear. That's what it's called. It's called a water bear. Yeah. So you get all these kind of shots of it. It would be interesting. I mean, he has some nice features. I guess the most is that he has 6 legs, right? But, anyways, what I want you guys to do is to, you know, you get your image, and then you're going to pull him into Illustrator. So we're going to just go ahead and download this guy. Let's save him in Graz. Workshop. Tutorial 01. Here we go. I'm going to call this Prairie Bob 01. Alright. And then I assume you guys all know Illustrator. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull that image in here, or just open it. I think that would be fine too. I'm going to go slow for you guys that don't really know it that well, which is okay. We're coining this so it's easy to do this. That's the main idea. So, I mean, first thing you need to do is you need to go Document, Edit Artboard. And then you need to pull this in a little bit. You want to really frame him, right, to get that kind of shape. And to figure out that size exactly, right? And we're going to orient this size to a certain dimension too. So we're going to go ahead and have him at this size. Hit Enter. Or Escape actually does it too. But we need to get that board. So once we draw him, we'll fix a board to the right size. Okay? It needs to be square, I think. So first we're just going to make a new layer. We're going to lock this other layer. And we're going to draw in his features. And we want this to be really really low poly. And we're only going to get one side of him. We're not interested in both sides of him because we're going to extrude it later on. And that's going to get, and you know, his tail doesn't have to be perfect. It can be even like that, right? Less is more in this scenario. So the fewer lines you make, it's going to be easier on you. So that's good. You know, so that shape right there is what we're looking for. So we can look at it in figure ground. Flip that to black, which we're going to need later like that. And so that looks really good. So as you see, we have this kind of weird kind of snake on his head, a fat belly, these stubby little legs, and this pokey tail. So this is pretty good. All right? So now what we need to do is make another window. And what we're going to do is we're going to use, I'm just going to assume everything's going to be a little bigger. So we're going to use a standard size of 1920 by 1080. Okay? And we're going to take our prairie dog, just that layer, and paste it in that shape, right? And now we're going to scale this to the size of this board. Okay, so make sure when you're scaling, you hold down Shift so you maintain the proportions of the prairie dog or whatever animal you have. And really get it right there. So there he is. He's filling up the board quite nicely. I have a tendency to want to pull him away from the board a little bit and float him in the middle. Okay? So something like that. And we're going to go ahead and do a second animal. In this case, I'm going to do the water bear. All right? So we can go through the whole process. I kind of like this one. It's a little small, though. These are bigger. This one looks like I can get most of him. Maybe. Doesn't really appear in section much. That's cute. Oh, there we go. That's a pretty good section we can take from him. Alright, so we're going to save that guy. It looks really mean right there. That's not a water bear. Water bear Chris. Water Chris 01. Okay, and now I'm going to go back over here. We're going to just go ahead and go back to the prairie one. And we're going to lock that layer, hit a new layer, hide him. And we're going to place the new image we have, Water Chris. And we're going to place him inside of here. We're going to go ahead and shrink him down. Get him inside of there. Alright, now let's trace him again. Remember, we're keeping just the front edge. Let's go ahead and lock that layer, new layer, keep that front edge. And we're just going to trace out the water bear here. You know, and I think in this case, I'm using too many lines, so I'm just going to create these as just points right here. And, you know, express it a little bit. He doesn't have to be exactly like the image is. You're just trying to get the idea and the kind of familiar aspects of it. I mean, that looks pretty good. I feel like I could do it a little better, so I'm going to back up a little bit. I feel like this leg doesn't have to be that long. And I think I am going to add those other ones in there that we took out earlier, just to give it a more consistent view. All right. And then if you really want to like add some texture to it, you can, or some minor adjustments, you can start adjusting in here a little bit. You can get really particular on this, but we're not going to be using this directly. So we're going to cut that out. Go back to our other, add another layer. Lock the prairie dog. Let's click in Bob here. Let's go ahead and center Bob. Or align him to the axis. So if we hit Control R, we can see our ruler. And we can line him to an axis, all right? And then we can scale him up, right? There we go. All right, and so now we have our two images. Looks like my guides are locked here, so let me unlock my guides. Wherever those may be. Are they in view? Yeah, they are in view. Unlock guides, there we go. Alright, so there's 1 and 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and export out our, just, what we can do is, I have a couple different ways of doing this. One way I like, well, you know, let's save it out. Export as PNG. And we'll call this figure Bob 01. And then we'll save this one too. We'll just call it figure Bob 002. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And what you can also do too, if you just want to save these as well. Let's say save this as figure ground animals 01. And we'll save this as FG template 01 animals. Okay. And so now we got our two pieces. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Rhino. We're going to go, you know, maybe the side view would be better since they're kind of elevations. And we're going to pull in, and that's under shapes here. It's also, let's see what it says. It is also underscore or picture. You can type in picture to do that. So we're going to go over here. It's in soft familiars. Tutorial 1. And we're going to pull in Bob here. I'm going to click 0, 0. We're just going to scale him up. Alright? And now we're going to put Bob on a layer. Preferably layer 2, because you want it on something that you want to use red, because red's really nice for this. What I also like to do is, I don't know if this is even necessary for this, but you go in here and turn down the transparency just a little bit, just in case. Go back to your layers, lock that layer. Now Bob's not accessible. And then let's just trace Bob. Make sure you got center off. It's always annoying nowadays. And just give Bob a real easy trace. Here we go. Kind of weird. It feels very taxidermy-like, I think. I'm not a big taxidermy fan. I love animals, but this does feel odd in that. So now we have Bob is now like that accessed thing, right? And so we can go ahead and hide that layer. And what we're going to do is extrude this a nominal distance. You don't want it too big. Just as big as you think Bob needs to be. Okay? That looks like the thickness of a prairie dog, right? Looks prairie dog-ish. But his feet aren't done correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a block in this view, right? And then extrude that back. Now what you need to do is make sure that he's centered, because then you kind of want to keep some degree. Let's take perpendicular off. There we go. And so now you can cut that piece out of there by Boolean union, delete the input, and now you have something like a prairie dog. Now there's an interesting moment here which is happening. Maybe when we want to clean this up a little bit, like this whole bottom piece right here, it seems like that could be a little smoother. Or maybe we just don't want this to go fully that way. These are decisions you can make as you go through this. So maybe I just want this guy to be even. I want to be real specific where I want just that leg area cut out from there to there. So that leaves that whole portion of that leg there. Now we need to move that back to the middle. And so there we go. We got the first leg out. And looks like we don't have any differential there. Now, if you copy that and then do that, you can get rid of that and then paste it back in. And then now what we can do is move this guy over here. Move back out here. There's bugs in Texas, that's for sure. And then we're not sure exactly where that is, so let's move him here and use that as the curvature or the angle for that, and then we can move that back. All right? And so like we said before, less is more on this. So anything you can do to lessen those surfaces, it will help you on the physical model quite a lot. So that looks pretty good. Let's get rid of that. Maybe we want to move him a little further down the line there. Like right there. And we'll just take him out too. Okay? So you see we got rid of those. We got rid of that middle. How did you get back in here, little buggy? Okay. All right. So now we have our little prairie dog, Bob, here. So what we need to do with Prairie Dog Bob is explode Prairie Dog Bob. And we really only need the one side of him for now. You can go ahead and delete that. We know that's a mirror. And so now we need to flatten these surfaces around Bob. So we know this one's going to be flat. And as a matter of fact, let's just be due diligent and copy Bob over. And, you know, for my own benefit of teaching here, so let's do him a nominal distance. Say 50. That's not enough. So let's say 250. Okay, that's a little much. So maybe 150. There we go. And so now let's explode Bob. Like we said before, we'll get rid of that one surface. We'll flip the other guy. Right? Move him to the side. We know that the opposite's there too. It's easier just to do this and flip it. Make sure you're in the top view. Flip it over. And so now we have these two surfaces there. Now we can go ahead and move those over. We're just going to move them. Oh. Move them negative 150. So we know they're right over there. So that's 300 between them. And now what we need to do is start to unfold this guy. So the easiest way to do that is over here in these tools, these surface manipulations, and hit flatten. It's going to pop on the center. So there's one smash. Okay, so you're gonna have to be really careful with this. There's other ways to do this. So we know that guy is that guy, right? So we're gonna move him forward. We're just gonna go back to the next guy, smashing 2. And we know he's there. So maybe what we can do is we can change those as we go. We know we did those. So we can smash the next guy. Move him there. Change his color. I'm going to pause it while I do this because this can take a little bit of time. Alright, I forgot. There's a much easier way to do this. So you need to figure out what do you want bottom, what do you want top. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go down. We're going to do this. This is going to be the top area, right? And we're just going to go down to his feet. Okay, that's going to be one surface. And we're going to join it together, change it to blue, and we're going to do unroll. All right, and so there. Something is happening. All right, so we're going to do it in a couple different pieces. Just got to make sure you get this right, or it's going to be really hard in the next software we're using. So we're going to do half at a time. Get unrolling. Okay, so it's looking like some of those pieces are flipping. So I don't like how that's going. And do not explode it. There we go. That's what it is. So we can take this whole top surface. It's been a while since I used this, so bear with me, guys. Alright, and we're going to make sure it's one solid. Unroll it. Make sure you have exploded off. And there it is. So that's one surface. Okay. We're going to go ahead and move him up here. Alright. Hide him. And then I know that this is going to be the easiest right now, and then we'll deal with the feet in a second, right? So we'll go ahead and join that together, give it a different color. So you know you've done it. Unroll that. There it is. Alright. And we know that guy's going to be over there. And we're going to go ahead and flip him around because we know his feet are going to be right down there. It matches his feet. Right? And go ahead and hide that. Now we only have to do one of these. Alright? As we know, the other ones are just a mirror. Okay? That's why it's important to get that center down. So what we can do is we can, I'd suggest, is get those, unroll that, but this time you want it exploded. Alright? And so there's our three pieces. And we know that piece is on one side and that piece is on one side. So we need to do something like this. Right? And that's one piece. And then the foot is another one. And we got to make sure that's unrolled. And there we go. And there's the foot. So we know this guy. So if you haven't figured it out yet, what we're doing is we're making patterns like cloth. Alright? And so that's the interesting thing about this. So there, as you see, I mirrored that one because these two feet are exactly the same. And so we're going to do the same thing to the back one. Take the two top pieces. And see the other pieces are over there. And then unroll those. Guess I didn't like that. Let's do that. Okay, so there's one. And then we're going to unroll that one. And there's the bottom piece. Right? And we know this guy, see the angle piece is on the other side, so we know this guy goes over here. So it really matters where you put those so you can read what you're doing there. Right? And there we go. And what we're going to do now is mirror that across. Okay? And so there we have it. There's our pattern. You need to arrange this so it's a nice thing to look at. Now you have a couple ways to do this now. What I would suggest is go to layout, new layout, and what you're going to do is custom. And you need to know at 300 DPI, so what you need at 1920 by 1080 at 300 DPI. Okay? So we get this calculator out, and it's calculating the size of that image. So we're going to DPI to millimeters. And so, yeah, so 1920 by 1080, 300 DPI, calculate. So that's 163 by 93. So 163 by 93. Okay? And what we need to do is make sure we got that fully arranged. See, we have these large margins, so what we need to do is edit those margins. And that can be done here. Getting this guy all the way out to the edge. Right? Getting him out there. Go inside and let's get him up a decent way. And it looks like we can reduce him a little bit. It looks like we can get that inside a little more. The bigger you are, the better your imagery is going to be in the end, and the better your piece is going to be. So get it close together, not too close. Zoom in a little more. See how far we can get here. That looks like as good as we're going to get. And we're going to put this on there. We're going to select all of it, put it on a new layer, turn it black. And there we go. All right, don't worry about the shadow, doesn't matter. Then we're going to print that. Browse the outputs just fine. We're going to 300 dpi. Make sure it's in pixels. Leave it where it is. Alrighty, so then we're just gonna go ahead and print it. We call this Prairie Bob Unroll. Okay. Open backup Illustrator. Let's open up Prairie Bob. Alright, I'm back, guys. Let's see. Let me put my little hat on again. Alright, so we're going to bring this into Marvelous now. So we've gotten it, we've exported it out. Now we need to bring it into Marvelous. So the first thing you do is you can go up here. I go on another video about everything about what this is, and I'm going to show you kind of guys in the tutorial with this, so I'm going to go pretty quick here. So you're just going to go up here to the rectangle, which is also S. Just create a base rectangle like this, okay? And now you're going to go to the second one, which is Z. You can select this top one. See, it's at 121. We need that at the right dimension, which is 920. And before you hit OK on this, make sure you hit both, so it goes from both sides. And we're going to match this other end the same way. 1920, both. There we go. Now we're going to do the sides. Also the same thing, but 1080. Make sure you click both. Same thing on the other side. Both. Okay, and so that's the same dimension as the one we had in the other software. Let's double check it before we bring it in. You can turn on R. Make sure this is on pixels. it looks like we aren't, so let's cut that out. Bring it into our template that we know already. Paste it in straight. We're just going to scale this guy up to this size. There it is. Now we're going to save this again, or export. Export as. Just go ahead and save over that. Okay. Now we're going to pull it in, and we're going to turn this mapping. Down here, you're going to click the fabric, which see it's white, and we can always change that in color so you can see that that's actually what it is. And then we're going to hit the texture, this little 4 button right here. And we're going to go find that texture. Let me flip this up real quick. All right, and then we're gonna go find it in the workshop. It's this one, of course. And see, it's not the right scale. So what we're gonna do is go click Edit Texture. This little guy up here. And then we're gonna click this other one. Click the texture. Click that. We're going to scale it. Looks like it's been flipped. I'm going to flip that around. Let's double check what it looks like. No, I was wrong. I was wrong. It needs to be that way. Get in here. This isn't a perfect science, so get as close as you can. Those lines at the bottom can be your guides. So that's pretty good. All right. So now what we use is draw on top of it. So we basically trace this inside here again. Actually, what we're going to do is back up. Or actually, we're going to trace this first. Actually, we're going to back up. Now, so this would be the method if we were just going to keep this base, right? But what we want is a contortion of that with the other animal we have. So inside of here, since we do have these layers, we're going to move this one up here. So you should have all these open in time. And we're going to move these 2 layers in the top, right? Turn him off for a second. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip him to white. All right? And we're going to certainly start to position him where he's going to cut out on this guy, right? This can be kind of hard to do, right? Because it's not a vector file. So a better way to do that is inside of Photoshop, all right? So we're going to open a new one. And again, we're going to maintain the same format, 1920 by 1080. Right, 1980 by 1080. 300 DPI. And there we go. And so now we're going to go open our files. sure my lovely cards are doing good. So we got our first file here. There it is. Open our second file. Which is our this guy. And we're going to copy and paste him inside. And we're going to scale him down a bit, right? Maintaining his shape. Alright? And we want to just simply, we're going to scale him like that, and then we want to flip him. Alright? And so we know there's one there, and of course, copy paste. We want another one, but we want to flip that guy, so we're going to transform, flip over the horizontal, vertical, excuse me. Flip over the vertical, then move him up there. Alright, and try to position him in the right position. Alright. And then what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to make some guidelines like this. Alright. And I want y'all to take certain areas and project them through. Right? So like this area here certainly can be white. And then maybe we take one of these areas down here because we know alright, that's the top. So we're going to project maybe some of this bottom down there. On the bottom, so you see this little space here. We're going to make a little, we're going to make a little box right in there. And G that in. Cut that out, right? And then paste it over here. Alright, so somewhere in here, we know that tail goes up. That's part of the tail right there. And then if we go back a little bit, that's the foot right there. And then it looks like there's a white piece that goes here. And it looks like there's one that happens on his neck over here. Alright. You don't have to be perfect on this. We're just trying to get it as close as we can. And see, I've already messed up. Can reposition that. And then get that marquee cool back in there. Get that little last bit there, right? Looks like I did the same thing over here. Alright, so now we're going to take those layers, merge them together, and not all of them. We're just going to merge the top layers, and then we're going to hit a multiply. Or actually, we're going to go down to difference, right? Alright. And now what I want you to do is I want you to go there, make a duplicate of the bottom layer. So duplicate, okay. And I want you to take out the white. Looks like I have it on 30, so we got to get that down to 10 on tolerancing. Maybe 1 or 50. I think we went the wrong way. That's getting closer. take off that layer, we can see a little better. Map it maybe 150. There we go. So now we have a layer to make a new layer, put it on top, and we'll make that white. Right? And so now we have a nice white background. We're going to flip this guy on, and we're going to have something like this. Alright? And since we're not going to be using white, I mean, we are going to be using white, but the black's going to be in a yellow. Alright? So, yeah, so we're going to make that white yellow. Oop. So it should come in something like that. All right? And so now we're going to save this out. Again, Control colon to see what that looks like. We're going to save this out. Not for web, but save as. First of all, we should probably just save it as a PSD first of all. And then we're going to save it as a PNG. And we're going to give it a name, double. Alright. So there's our little prairie. We're going to go back in here, and we're going to replace that with this. Yeah, so now we're going to have to reposition that with the texture tool. Alright, and so we have our nice two-color unit. Alright. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cut it out. So again, we go back to the trim tool. And in this case, I think I want to switch that back to white, just so you can get those colors back out better. I was just demonstrating earlier. And then we're going to go in here and trace this guy. Just tracing the outside edge. And remember, things can be copied. We're going to test to see if that works in this episode. If not, we're just going to have to trace both sides. Not a big deal. And there's one. And we can go ahead and trace the middle one. We know that's going to be good. Everything's the middle mouse on this, by the way, if you all haven't figured that out yet. Okay, there's another one to trace. We can go ahead and trace this guy. You can make adjustments on these later on. Probably won't need to. let's see that one. Ooh. Unfortunately, undo while you doing this doesn't work very well. And I guarantee this is going to be fun. It's a little tedious, but once you get it made, it's going to be really nice. I guarantee you. And there we go. There's another cut. We know at least one of the feet needs to be done. And since they're all black, it makes life easier. Even duplicating these will definitely work. Alright. Let me pause it real quick while I do this. Alright, so we got both feet traced now and one of the animals, alright? So what I want you to do now is go back to this line tool, and you're going to select that whole once, and you're going to right click and you're going to say cut. And he's going to cut out like that, you see? Now we can move him over here. Now what we're going to try now is we're going to copy, mirror paste. And see, that didn't work. So we got to maintain those textures, and that doesn't work. So we're going to have to cut this one out too. Alright, so we're just going to do that. I'm going to pause it real quick. Alright, so I already traced the other one. So we're going to go ahead and cut the rest out. So grab that tool, cut him out. Alright, and go ahead and cut the bigger pieces out, like these. Ooh, where is... Oh, I guess I didn't grab it all. Cut. Double click will grab it all. Cut. Now, in the case of the feet, you can highlight them all like that, and right hit and hit cut. Now, in my case, they're all black. If yours aren't black, you're going to have to trace all of them, but that's okay. It won't take long to do that. All right, so we know that guy's up there. We got this guy and this guy. All right, and we know this guy's the top of the thing because it goes down and makes the feet. And that's the bottom, right? Okay. Looks good. Now let's get our feet out of here. All right. Oh yeah, you gotta click these individually, or you can just go ahead and delete this. All right, and so now we have our feet. And now we're gonna, because these are the way they are, we're gonna copy and mirror the pasties because they're black. Now they're gonna come out wrong up here. As a matter of fact, you know what? It's probably easier just to trace them. Honestly, it doesn't take much time. Let me do that real quick. I'm gonna pause. Right there, traced again. Now let's highlight them, cut them out. Like I said before, we can go ahead and delete that back piece and move these guys up. All right. So that was the easy part. Now we're into hard stage. So, remembering back here, going back to your perspective, right? This is why we colored everything, right? Okay, so you remember you started from that point right there. So that's the first dimension you have to understand. All right? So right here, it's that bottom edge. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to first go over here, right? So now we're in 3D space. Mine's set up. What I like to use in here is if you go to Preferences, Gizmo, and you do Local Coordinates, okay? So that means when you click on this guy, you get this thing. Now, if you didn't do that, you'll get this other gizmo, which is dealing with your screen. This can be useful. You might want to go back later and use it, but it's a little more difficult to use, especially since you've been working in the other ones. So what I want you to do is go get that guy, flip him over 180, there we go, and then move him down. All right, just like the gizmo and Rhino. And your number keys are your views. So I'm going to go until I see it's right, and then pull him down right about where I think he belongs, right? He's somewhere in there. It's not perfect, but it's somewhere in there. Okay? And then I'm also going to do that to here. I know this needs to go 90, like this. I'm going to move him over here on top. And then I'm going to move this guy. I'm going to flip him 90 the other way and move him on the bottom, right? And so we should be looking at this. All right? And at this point, you probably need to save it, honestly, because this is going to get, looks like I didn't get the angle right, so, and it looks like this one's not quite angled either correctly. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Scoot him forward. We're just going to take the legs and move them over here on the top on this side, and then move them out of the way over here. Oh, it looks like I missed one. So we're just going to move them out over there and move them over here. Okay. And let's go ahead and save this. We're going to save this as a project, not a garment. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this screen. And then this is the tricky part. Okay, guys? So there's a couple different sewing techniques up here. You see segment sew and then free sew. We're going to be using free sew. Okay? It's a little tricky. Not usually what we use, but for this case it works. So what we're going to do is we're going to click free sew. And we're going to sew from point A to point B. And then we're going to go up here and do the same thing. Now, what you'll see is you see the little blue dot? That's the length that it requires for that piece, okay? So that one's done. And if you look over here in the 3D view, that sewing piece is done. So we're going to do the same thing the next one. And we're just going to go down the line. I'm going to pause it and come back in the... So when you get to this end point, you see how mine, it has a little blue dot that's not quite there? Just let it have that little extra 10. That's fine. We'll adjust that later. And what you should see, it should look like this over here. All right? It should look like that. Now in the other guy, what we can do is move him up here. And we can do the same thing, all right? And I'll show you. So it's going to be the segment right as his nose from here to here. And then we're going to do here to here, okay? I'm going to pause it. And there we go. You see, now he's connected on all sides like that, all right? And so you can see how that will wrap around there, right? Okay, so now we're going to do the bottom, all right? Alright, we're positioning down here. Now let's go back and look at our rhino. Okay, so we know that green starts below that right there, and so that's going to be the first move. And we can see the stitching doesn't start there, so we know it goes from there to there, from there to there. Now we go and double check over here, and we see what happened. It was on the wrong side. So what we have a couple of different ways to do that. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to flip this guy 180. Okay? So he's on the right side. Then we're going to go back to the sewing. There to there, there to there, there to there, there to there. Don't be discouraged by these feet or anything. It's going to be the inside of that right there. Oh, excuse me, that's wrong. So it's not going to be the feet, because the feet are these other pieces over there. So you can skip the foot, and you can go from here to here, here to here. You can go from, you go from here to here, from here to here. All right? Now all you gotta do is just move this guy up here, and we can do the other side, right? And we can double check over here, make sure it looks good. Looks pretty good to me. All right. And so we're gonna do this bottom side over here. Hit the sewing again. So from here to here, and here. I'm gonna pause the video for this. All right. So your model should look like this right now. Alright. Looks pretty good. Now one thing you notice, these aren't connected. So we know we can sew in 3 dimensions now. We can go from there, there. And we can click. Yeah, 3-dimensional sewing hasn't really. Let's try it again. There, there. Alright, so you just do it over here. They haven't fixed that yet. So we're going to, you see if you look over the left side, you can see where your mouse is. So we know there to there. And we're going to look on here what the first side, so there to there. And see your thing should be straight up and down like that. You see that? It's going to be the same on the back side for this piece right here. So you want to position it correctly. It's going to be from here to here, and from here to here. So you get that correct position. Okay? Now we're going to do the feet. Alright? So we got to get the feet positioned correctly first of all. Let's do the first set. And the way you can really tell on this is you can adjust these things to where you see where they are. See, that looks like that's good there. And this side looks pretty good there. And this one is there. So then we can go into 3D and position them again. If you hit F, it will zoom in. And so we can position that way. We know we need to position this one this way. So he goes there. This guy goes up here. Scoot him in a little bit. And this guy goes at an angle here. Alright, so you might want to position these a little better. They're going to get sewn together, so they just need to be kind of in the right position. The better you have this first one, the better your model is in the long run. If you want it in the center, you can just click back to the other one. That looks pretty good. Move it down a little bit. Position it right there a little bit. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with those. And it kind of looks like I have those flipped. Maybe this one goes over here. Yeah, that looks more correct. That looks more correct. So we're going to move these, reposition these over here. Alrighty, so now we know we can just simply click these. You see, if we click this first one, we know that we can just go ahead and do that, right? Just make sure. So that's not correct. So what we can do is we can rotate this around like that. And then when we do that, and they're still not positioned correctly, so so what you need to know is this point right here. See, if I click on it, the blue shows up. That point to that point. Oh, so that's not the points we need. That point to this point needs to go here to here. We don't have that bottom one positioned correctly. That's what the problem is. So this needs to turn 90, like that. So this point to this point needs to go to this point to this point. There we go. This point to this point needs to go to this point to this point. Make sure, oh, see, looks like that first one we did was wrong. So we'll go back. We need to go this point to this point to this point to this point. It might look switched over here. The 3D is the one that matters. So this side to this side needs to go from this side to this side. So that one's correct. And on this one, this side to this side needs to go from this side to this side. So those look correct. You can pull this one up a little bit and make sure it's okay. Yeah. So we're going to do the same thing in the other ones. We're going to see, like, right there, that point to that point. Oh. So that point to that point equals that point to that point. Oh, that looks flipped. That point to that point equals point to that point. There we go. And on this other guy, that point to that point. Oh, it's going to be the other side. It's that point to that point. Alright, and so there's one leg done. Now what we can do is we can position him. So we know these are black. You guys might want to maintain these black, I'm thinking. We know this is in the inside leg on the left side. So if we go in there, it looks like he's actually this leg. Right, there's the large side. We're going to pull him in some. Okay. And we know that this point right here, which is this point to this point, needs to be this point right here. So we need to go back and look at this guy, see where that's hitting. It's right here, so that's that point to this point right there. And so you get that happening. Now we need to do this bottom foot, which is this point to this point. You go back to the foot up here, and it's probably going to be this point to this point. And we got his leg, her leg done right there. All right, these sewing stitches are going to happen later. Now, what I would suggest is just to copy this guy. Now, if you have texture on that, you can't do this. All right, and so in this case, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to remove the stitches on this dimension, right? And then move him over this way. Because it's the opposite foot, it's going to be in the opposite side. So we're going to re-sew that. You're going to look at this dimension right here. It's going to be this dimension. You're going to look at this dimension here. It's going to be that dimension. We're going to do the baseboard too. And I did that one backwards. Right? So now we're going to take that guy and move him up here. Oh, I didn't get all of them. Make sure you maintain all your pieces together. I still haven't had... Do they have a group yet? They do not have a group button yet. Okay. So this is going to go up in here, get a little away from the solid. Right in there. Okay. And now we're going to draw this other side in. So from here to here, we're going to go down to this guy down here. Oh, it's up here now. It's going to be this guy. So it's going to be from here to here. And we got that one correctly. We're going to go to this other side over here. We're going to go from there to there. And so it's going to be on the top side of that one. From there to there. And that one's good. Now we're going to do this bottom piece, which is now here to here. And it's going to be that bottom one. And it's going to be from there to there. And then we've got that one done. It looks like this piece right here is a little out of sync, so let's pull it away a little and scoot it over. Alright. Those look all sewn correctly. Okay. Now we're going to do one of the other feet. Alright, they should be a little easier because there's not as many. What we can do is bring them down by a foot down here to see how they go. So it looks like these are out of order. So this one looks like it goes here. It looks like this one goes here. All right, and so now we got to maintain that too. So in the 3D, we flip it, and then we know we need to move this one down. Oh, we need to move this one. It needs to go 90. It needs to go down here, and then it needs to go another 90 ish. And then this one actually, we have that wrong. This is the foot. It still looks a little small. And then this is the long piece. Because it's that inside. Remember, the back comes in like this. You can see it up here. So the back comes in. That fits the back piece. So this is going to go up here. Like this. Alright, and then this piece just looks like it needs to be a little bigger. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, since it does need to be a little bigger, I'm going to move these back in their positions. They should be. Alright, that one goes there, so we need to position our fabrics correctly. Since this one needs to be a little bigger, I'm just going to grab the side and scoot it out a little bit. Right? We'll fix that in a little bit. Alright, and that should be good. Now we need to do the sewing. There. To there. There. Yeah, 3D sewing works better in the other one. So, okay, so we have that one piece. We're going to copy those in a second. Let's get him in position. And he goes in there. Remember, F is your friend. Okay. There we go. Same deal. You can use this other one to do this. Sometimes it's easier to do that. Alright. Uh-oh. Oh, that's just one coming over there. Okay, so that's good. That's coming over there on the side right there. So that's good. And we know this guy oh, maybe we did do that backwards. Am I missing a foot? Oh yeah, the feet are at the top. There they are. Okay. So this bottom piece right here is going to go here. Right? And then this piece right here is going to go to the inside of that leg right there. Like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to copy, paste. And we're going to try mirror paste again. Let's see if that does it. Well, that just didn't do us any good at all. They don't have the mirror down yet. I'm just going to copy it over. Remember, we're going to take this guy. We're going to take off his sewing positions. And just move him. Move him to the other side. Easier that way. And then we're just going to use the 3D again because I kind of like it. Made life a lot easier than it used to be. Used to not have that. And then we're going to go position him over here. Same deal. Sew them together. Alright, and then we're going to sew that bottom one. Left side. Where you click is important, remember. And then the top of the back side to the top of this guy. Alright. And so we know the top of this piece is going to go here. And we know the top of this piece is going to go here. And we know that's going to happen down here too. So that goes there, that goes there, and that goes there. We're going to flip it over and do the same thing this side. So that goes there, that goes there. Alrighty. So there we have fully sewn. Now the fun part. Oh yeah, we can go ahead and delete these other little guys up here. Alright. First, before we save, I also suggest you taking your pieces and positioning them for later on. What we'll do is we'll position them kind of like we had before. So we're going to go bring this guy up here. Let's position the feet towards the back of this unit right here. Same thing with these guys. So you can kind of have an order of where things go, right? Alright, even though they're flipped, you kind of know where the feet are. Alright, now let's all look at it. Okay, so we're going to save again. Save project. Alright, do not get frustrated. When this thing inflates, the particle distance right now is at 20. We're going to go ahead and put this at 50 to make your computer run a little better. And then look at it first before we do anything. Let's look at it. That's pretty low poly, so I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so if you notice here, the particle distance and simulation properties, this is at 50. If we put it at 80, it's going to change those polys. See, they're a little higher. You might want to go that high. Also coming down here, and it says triangulated. We'll switch that later. But okay, so when you're ready, save again. Do not save. You're going to keep this file. And let's go ahead and save as. And we're going to save as another project, and we're going to call this unsewn. All right. Or maybe we should call that sewn. Whatever. Okay. So now we're just going to hit the space bar. All right. So he's kind of flat on the ground right now, but we're going to go over here to our property manager and put some pressure on it. So put about 30. Okay, so what are we doing? What are we seeing wrong here? Looks like something got flipped. Right there. You see that poly right there? It looks like something's happened with it. Something's not correct. So when that happens, what you can do is drop it down to 50 and double check. So it looks like some surfaces are flipped. I'm guessing it's this one, and you can just right click, flip normal. Alright, so there's some other ones that aren't correct. It looks like this guy's foot here. It looks like our flipping of the feet was not a good idea. Oh, it looks like there's a hole there too. You see that right there? So these don't look sewn right there. Something's open right. You see this piece right here? It is not sewn. See that open thing right there? We need to sew that. So we need to grab, basically you can also use that guy. Just grab him and grab him, right? So that needs to be sewn together. And it looks like this one up here is not sewn either. So this, okay, we can't sew that right there. That should fix a little of it. Alright, that looks pretty good. So what we need to do is go back, okay? Let's go back. Alright, so we know this foot right here is not sewn. Right here. Is that one? Yeah, that one's not sewn. And let's check all our other ones. Make sure they're all sewn. Double check the whole entire area. Looks like everything's sewn. That was our one spot. Alright, since we're back, let's go ahead and save it again. And let's go through this process again. Alright. He looks pretty good. So let's beef him up to 50. Way too much. Alright. Let's just do 10. Alright, so there's something in here that's reversed. Now what you can do is if you go into your fabric properties and go down to details, go all the way down and turn the coefficient down, up and the density up, he should sit down a little more. Yeah. And then you can add a little more boom to him. And it looks like a lot of our issues actually are just the polygon count. So let's reduce this to 20. And there he goes. Now he's looking a little better. It's a little too high on the polygon count. And it's looking like some of this is reversed. You see how those polys are reacting? See that one right there? It's reacting a little weird. So let's go ahead and flip that one. There you go. So I'm also assuming the bottom one is too. So see, these other ones are flipped as well. Yeah. This one's flipped as well. And we probably need to do that to his other feet. So it looks like this whole bottom thing is flipped. Huh. Looks like actually the foot wasn't flipped. Ah, there's his foot. Let's fix his other feet. Alright. Looks like the back foot needs some help. Alright. So there's our little guy. Now we can grab him. Actually, it's easier if we just go over there, take that off. Alright, there he is. Let's bring him down to 50. There he is. Alright, let's boost that particle up to 50. And personally, I don't like the way this fabric's working, so usually I'll switch this preset to leather or cowhide, and see, he'll get a little more rigidity. There he is. Alright. Now, what you can also do, it looks like that came in pretty good. How is this? Yeah, he's got nice polys. Alright. Try a little less. Let's see, lambskin. Yeah. He's good to go. You can mess around with these presets. Some are better than others. And adjust your poly count a little bit. Alright. So there he is. There is your first plushie animal in Marvelous. As you can see, maybe those polys aren't the perfect for you, so you might want to get a little less. I'll just give you a taste of what we're going to be doing next. We're going to do part-to-part relationships. In this case, we have gravity on, but we're going to switch it to, let me go real quick so you guys, if you want to test this for next class, we're going to go to simulation properties. Simulation properties. We're going to reduce the gravity to 500. We're going to increase the step distance to 0.8. And so it doesn't move as quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie him, just this guy, with one of these pins. That's a green one. Oh, no, that's a red one. And so now he won't move. He's right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to copy, paste, and we got another one here. So then we're going to talk about how we connect two of these together. What if we just want to do it head to head? So we're going to move those guys closer together. Alright. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew. We're going to use this tack. There you go. Boom, boom. Alright. And so there we go. Two together. And you can imagine where this is going. To a whole bunch of these. Alright? Hope you guys enjoyed. On to the next class after this. Cheers. Ciao.